Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today I will be sharing with you this card. As it was January and I was feeling a little bit low on my mojo, I decided to take part in the January challenge over at Altenew. And as you can see, the colours that they have on there are these pinks and reds and also a warm brown. So the colours that I am going to use are from the Red Cosmos and also the warm grey colour collections. So I did decide to miss out the frosty pink and instead change it out for the coral berry. The cotton candy, sorry, so it would give me a more of a pinky, brighter tone rather than the light one that's in the lightest colour. So I am going to use the cotton candy to stamp the base layers for the two of the flowers that are in the Antique Roses stamp set. And I've also stamped out a third one, which is a second one of the smaller one, so I have 3 flowers in total. So once I've done all of the base layers, again that was cotton candy, I'm then going to move on to coral berry. This is the time that I'm using the coral berry. So I'm just using this for the second layers of all of the flowers, so the larger one and 2 of the smaller ones, because these are repeated. So I'm just going to pop these into place. These are quite easy to line up. I'm just lining them up over the one that I've just stamped. I am using my guide that's on the back of the packaging to help me align these up perfectly, but I do find that once you have stamped these a couple of times, they are quite easy to get into the right places. So once I finish the second layer, I'm then going to move on to the third, and for this one I'm going to be using that beautiful ruby red colour. This is like one of my favorite reds. So I am just going to stamp that into place, just making sure it's in the right place before I do stamp that down. If you do have trouble lining these up as well, you could always use a MISTI or another stamp positioning tool, and that's going to help you line these up perfectly. I do like my blocks though. I am a block girl, I'm old school, and I do like to use my acrylic blocks. I find it's quicker for me. Then once this one is done, I can move on to the fourth layer. Now this is just going to add a really dark center points and details to this one. And for this one, I am using the Grapevine Ink. It's a really beautiful color, this one. Slightly verging on the brown tone of red, but still very, very pretty. So I'm going to stamp those in. And then these flowers have a 5th layer, so I am going to stamp those in, but I'm going to use the beautiful Moon Rock ink, so the dark grey colour. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a red, it's just going to really add that really dark centre into these flowers. So I'm just going to stamp those in. And if you wanted to, you could always use Frosty Pink as the base layer of this and then work up, and then that 5th layer would be the grapevine. I'm then going to move on to the leaves. Now because of the inspiration photo, there was no green in there, I decided to do my leaves the grey colour that's on the inspiration photo. So that's why I'm using the greys instead of greens, but I do think this works out really pretty in the end. So for the base of all of the leaves, I am going to be using the Evening Grey ink. So I've missed out the Morning Frost from the lightest colour, and I'm going to go for the darker selection this way. So I did 2 of the 3 leaf clusters, 3 of the larger leaves, and then I'm also going to do 2 of the smaller leaves too. So I have a lot of different leaves to pop round in my little floral bouquet. So once I've done the first layers, the second layers I'm going to be using the Moon Rock ink, and I am using the layering guide to help me pop these in the right position for the right leaves. Once I have the second layers down on all of the leaves, I can then move on to the third layer. And for the third layer, I'm going to be using the Lava Rock ink. Now this is just going to add a small touch of detail and lots of depth, just using this really dark grey ink colour. So once I have those all into place, I can then snip them apart so I can run these through my mini blossom machine to cut them out. So I've just snipped these into the size of the plate, which is just under 3 inches. And I'm then going to take the coordinating die set and I'm going to pop those around the image, add a little bit of tape to them just so that they don't move around, so they do have that beautiful white border around all of the images all perfectly. I'm going to run that through the machine and I can then cut out all of my images. So I am going to take my time and cut everything out, so I do have all of my little die cuts ready to go. So once I have everything cut, I'm just going to move those off to the side. I now have a little panel which is 4 1/4 by 3, and I'm going to be using the angled Mosaic 3D embossing folder to emboss that. Now I just find that white on white is very pretty, but just adding this touch of texture just to this back panel is really going to make those images pop and add a little bit more interest to the card too. So for this little panel, I'm going to add this into place onto a 4 1/4 by 5.5 card base, and I'm just going to pop that into place using some foam tape for a little bit of dimension. I can then take all of my little die cut elements and we can really play around with them. That's a really great thing about having these die cuts, is that you don't have to commit where you're going to pop these images when you have them, like when you stamp them on straight onto a piece of card, and they have to stay there. With die cuts, you can really play around, move them around until you're happy with how they look. So once I have the flowers in place, I can then add the leaves in. I find that adding the flowers first and then popping the leaves in is my favorite way to go around making my floral arrangements. Again, I'm just adding some foam tape to the backs of these, and then I can pop them into place. So once everything's all nicely stuck down, I'm then going to move on to my sentiment. So I'm just taking one of these stamps from the Label Love stamp set, and I'm just going to stamp this onto some white cardstock using my Obsidian ink. So this is one of my favorite sentiment stamp sets, and I use this again and again. Once that's nice and dry, I can then take my scissors. I'm just going to trim around this, leaving a little bit of a white border. It's going to save me a lot of time trying to get that perfect. Once that's done, I then added a little bit of foam tape behind the little sentiment, and I'm just going to pop that into place, going over the flowers and over that little panel as well, just to add a little bit more interest. So I really do hope that you liked the card and you've enjoyed the video as well. We really do hope that you join the inspiration challenge for January, and we can't wait to see what you come up with. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again really, really soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, crafty friend, Lydia here. Just popping in to say that you can get your daily dose of crafting tips, techniques, and tutorials just like this by subscribing to the Altenew YouTube channel. All you need to do is click on that little bell up there and you will never miss a video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.